Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn has confirmed the full extent of the injury that ended her return to the Olympic stage, and her words make the moment both heartbreaking and definitive. Vonn revealed Monday that she suffered a complex tibia fracture in her crash during the downhill, an injury that will require multiple surgeries to repair properly. She shared the update in a post on Instagram, offering clarity after days of concern following her helicopter evacuation from the course in Cortina d'Ampezzo. What makes the moment even more staggering is the context. Vaughn raced the Olympic downhill despite having torn the ACL in her left knee just 9 days earlier in a separate crash. She entered the event already injured, fully aware of the risks, and fully committed to competing anyway. In her post, Vaughn was precise and unflinching about what happened. I was simply 5 inches too tight on my line when my right arm hooked inside of the gate, twisting me and resulting in my crash, she wrote. She was clear that her torn ACL and prior injuries were not the cause of the fall. This was not a breakdown of her body. It was a matter of inches, timing, and the brutal margins of downhill skiing. The crash resulted in a severe fracture to her tibia, one of the most load bearing bones in the leg, especially critical in a sport that demands absorbing jumps at speeds exceeding 80 miles per hour. According to the hospital in Treviso, Italy, Vaughn underwent surgery on her left leg shortly after the accident and is now in stable condition. Her family has been by her side throughout the ordeal. Her father, Alan Kildo, confirmed that this injury marks the end of her career. She's 41 years old, and this is the end of her career, he said in a phone interview. There will be no more ski races for Lindsey Vonn as long as I have anything to say about it. Kildo, along with Vaughn's brother and two sisters, have remained with her in Italy as she begins what is expected to be a long recovery process involving multiple surgeries and extensive rehabilitation. Vaughn herself expressed no regret. That detail matters. Downhill skiing is not a sport that forgives hesitation. It is built on commitment, trust, and acceptance of risk. Vaughn has spent her entire career living at that edge, returning again and again from injuries that would have ended most athletes' careers years earlier. She has never defined herself by caution. At 41, she returned to the Olympics not to prove anything to critics, but to herself. She knew her body was compromised, she knew the risk, and she chose to race anyway because that choice has always been central to who she is. This injury did not come from recklessness. It came from precision failing by inches, 5 inches too tight on a line, a gate catching an arm, a twist at speed. That is how careers end in downhill skiing, not with slow decline, but with sudden finality. Vaughn will not return to the Olympic venues to cheer on teammates or attend events, according to her father. Her focus now is recovery, healing, and the next chapter of life after a career that redefined women's alpine skiing. Her legacy is already complete. Lindsey Vonn is one of the most decorated and influential skiers in history. She changed how speed events were viewed. She brought alpine skiing into the mainstream conversation. She inspired generations of athletes, especially women, to pursue disciplines once considered too dangerous or too demanding. This injury does not diminish that legacy. If anything, it reinforces it. She raced the Olympic downhill with a torn ACL. She accepted the risk. She paid the price. And she did it without regret. That is not recklessness. That is identity. Lindsey Vonn's career did not end quietly. It ended the same way it was lived, at speed, on the edge, fully committed.